Welcome, ladies, to the Women's Wellness Community, our Friday morning live meditation and pranayam. So, did you or have you looked outside yet this morning? Depending on where you are, we have quite a dusting of snow this morning. So, this actually brings brightness and light. I mean, just even looking behind me here, if you can see that it's quite amazing, really. I love that first little bit of snow. So at the same time, be careful when you walk outside. Allow that extra time, right? If you are going off to an appointment, to be clearing off your vehicle, all those little things. And then be aware as you're driving around of the people who have not cleaned off their windshields and their back windows. It is a week of doing that, combined with the fact that we are just in week one of a time change as well. So this is the time that people are a little groggy. And so what that means is that I'm just going to say, I think about being a little bit more alert. I'm always alert, but just with that understanding of what's going on around us, when we have some snow, we have some tired people, we have people that are very often in a hurry. And this is actually part of November rhythm, right? This is noticing yourself when you are moving through things that are shifting. Again, whether it's weather, whether it's time, but it's us in relationship to everybody that is around us as well. So I know perhaps that sometimes we look out the window on a day like today, we say, yeah, well, I'm just staying put. And that is a relationship with, sometimes with that day, sometimes with the season. But I am going to maybe say encourage you to think about the positive aspects of this lightness and this brightness that's coming from the snow, at least initially. So, going to give a shout out to my Habit Thrive podcast, which is going to be dropping tomorrow morning. I am talking about Ayurvedic tips as we're moving through this time change and moving through November into the holiday season. And also in there is a link, and there's a link on this Facebook page to my 4-day November Beat the November Funk Challenge. And in my podcast, I talk about that relationship and that balance between kind of hunkering down and rest and movement. This actually came to me from a client this week, where she simply made the comment that, and one of the reasons that we were getting together is that feeling, she said, when she puts her head down on the pillow at night and feels like she's had not just a good day of productive, right? It's very different that day of thinking, I got my bills paid, I got my paperwork done, I have all of that, but I moved my body today. And so whether that's 5,000 steps or 10,000 steps or a yoga class or some strength training, that feeling at the end of the day, right, is a feeling of accomplishment. It's a feeling of our body when we're moving our body, and especially if we're moving our body outside this time of year, and in combination, right, with, I like to do my strength training inside, still going on with those walks outside. And so you have that balance, which is beautiful for your sleep, for syncing with the season, okay, syncing with the shift in daylight. So here we are in standard time right now. Brighter mornings, darker evenings, and some of you are loving it, and some of you it's a bit more of a challenge. So that brings me to, again, I'm going to circle back. If you are interested in that 4-day strength challenge, please have a look. There's a link on this page, or just message me as well. We start on Monday. We go for 4 days, 20 minutes in the morning, live on Zoom, or it's recorded, so you can watch it whenever you want to. But it's about building our, not just our muscles, but our courage and our confidence and our resilience moving into the holiday season. So from here, as we're moving into our meditation this morning, tuning into our breath, turning into our body, tuning into our relationships, right? With the time change, with time, with the snow. Okay, so just noticing. And sometimes when our response is, oh, right? Just see if you can lighten that up a little bit and just play with it. Because the absolute, something else to think about as well, in terms of the time change and the light dark, is everything else changes. Everything else changes, right? Is variable in our lives, right? The weather is variable. Our stress levels, the food that we're eating, even the movement that we're doing, everything around us is changing and variable. There's one thing that doesn't change, and that is the light-dark cycle. That's it. That's the only thing that doesn't change. And so when you pause for a moment and think about that, and think about how sometimes how kind of lightly, I'm going to say, I can't think of another word, we just think about it, or we don't actually kind of pause and think about it. I haven't as much until this time change. But then it really makes me think, okay, I want to really sync with this light and dark. I really want to notice my mornings. I want to notice my evenings. I want to connect the light and the dark to rituals and routines and habits. And that's where the magic is, everybody. And in our society today, right, that is not the focus. It's get her done. It's we talk about managing the time change. I do as well. I'm talking about creating a relationship with light and dark in our lives, about noticing how we can sync our routines and rituals, and that when we are more synced, we are more coherent. Our brain, our heart, our entire body, because it's not just about the clock, that the 24-hour clock, right? That is external to us in the light dark, but it's our internal circadian rhythms. And so the magic, the secret sauce, everything comes back to, with fun, right? With curiosity, our relationship to light and dark. So from here, we're going to settle in. And for those of you who are watching the recording, if you want to do, and even now, right, I always encourage you to do a little bit of moving around while I'm introducing the meditation, whether you're doing a standing movement or a seated cat-cow. You might be stretched out on the floor, and then coming back to our meditation. We are going to focus on our breath as our anchor. This is our grounding. Notice when we are planning, when we are thinking, when we are remembering. Okay, name that thought. And then this is something different. I would like you to come to a sound in your environment. Okay, so when you notice your mind has gone, your attention is gone away from your breath, and you've named the thought, thinking, planning, remembering, judging, whatever it is, it's totally up to you. And then tune into your environment and hear something. Just for a few breaths, hear it, come back to your breath, and then when your attention leaves your breath again, to come back to that same cycle. But your grounding is going to be what you hear, okay? Oh, so true. I know. I'm so lovely to see Nadine and Suzanne and Sandra and Mom. I was able to see you come on all of the sudden. And Suzanne, your comment, that's exactly right. Right? The light and dark around us, the light and dark within us. And welcome both. Embrace both. Have a relationship with both, because they're different. And as they sync though together, as they do that dance of light and dark within us, physically, mentally, emotionally, and we have this dance outside in our relationships with other people, with nature, right? We feel more connected, more coherent. And so noticing that. So just as you're settling in, I have to make one adjustment and I will be right back, and we will start in 10 seconds. And for those of you who are wondering, Jammers is doing much better. She's doing much better. So thank you for asking and for caring. So she's rallied and doing well. So Jammers is our 16-year-old Terry Poo. Okay. So as we settle in, again, you can do this seated, on the floor, chair. Tune into your breath. And as you feel your breath, the air coming in through your nose, the air going out through your nose or mouth, just noticing where the breath is going in your body, what's moving, what's shifting. And when your attention leaves your breath and goes to a thought, name that thought. And you don't actually have to let it go. Your letting go is switching your attention to a sound. Traffic, furnace, clock, background noise, a fan. And then as soon as you realize again that you're able to tune into that sound, switch your attention then back to your breath. Stay with your breath and that until you're not. You notice you're with a thought. Let it go, come back to a sound. And for the next few minutes, play with that. And just for the last minute, breath to thoughts, to sound, to breath. And then as we slowly bring our attention to another sense, again, mindfulness is what we're hearing, what we're tasting, what we're feeling, what we're smelling, and then as you start to move and perhaps feel the floor, feel your thighs, feel your shoulders, and you slowly start to flutter your eyes open. It's pretty astounding that in our meditation right now, that we can go from dark to light in this period of time. Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful time to be doing our meditations together. And so just notice what you noticed. And move a little bit here again. You might stretch your legs out. And what I did notice in that practice this morning is that when my attention went, when I noticed I was starting to plan something right after our meditation, and then I came back to the sound, and it's the sound of the fridge actually, and then my fridge and my breath focus, they were both together. It's not like I shifted from the sound of the fridge to my breath. The fridge and my breath were together. And what they did, and I have not noticed this before or experienced this, is that the sound of my fridge kept me more in my breath and less up here. So curious. So when we talk about, again, why we want to manage our thoughts, is that when we're up here, we tend to be more ungrounded. Not all of the time, but when we think about the number of thoughts that come in, and if we're always up here, it's very spinny, it's very, especially in the fall season, right? Our breath grounds us. Sounds can ground us, and that's mindfulness. Again, come back to what you're hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, those 5 senses. We ground, we come out of our head, our shoulders drop, we connect to the earth, and we notice how we feel. So thank you for participating. I'd love to hear your experience from coming to a sound as a way to anchor, right? It's very quiet outside. That's the other thing I noticed with the snow this morning. Again, when you step outside, and I go out often, right, in the morning with jammers, is the quiet. That hit me right away, the quiet. And so to think about this too as you move through this week, the second week of the time change. Some of you are good as gold now. Some of you are, right? We're still processing that time change. Is that the 24-hour clock, the light dark, again, outside of us is the same for everybody. Our internal circadian rhythms are different. So I just want to mention something quickly. We're going to pick it up in another Friday morning meditation. But Ayurvedically, we talk about that 10 being in bed and asleep by 10 and up by 6, right? That Ayurvedic clock with a window of time in there. The other piece of this with circadian rhythms is all of the research that is being done now because of the consideration around staying with standard time. So there are a lot of experts now, there's a lot of studies going on about staying with standard time, right? So there's a lot of studies right now on circadian rhythms. So noticing in these time changes as you're shifting your inner clock. Is it 11 o'clock to 7 o'clock, right? So where are you? Are you more of a night person? Are you more of a morning person? And honoring that circadian rhythms. Again, I'm always with Ayurveda. I am always what is working and what works for me and where would I like to tweak. And so noticing and feeling that. And even on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night and you have a late night again at choir or meetings, or that Tuesday night then becomes a later night. And maybe, yeah, I did get a little bit of shift from this from someone who is watching this morning or a little inspiration for this. But if you are late one night and your next morning is then later, that is your routine for Tuesday night to Wednesday morning. And yes, in an ideal sense, that we do want to be closer to having consistent wake and going to bed times, right? Whatever they are for our circadian rhythms. But when you honor that particular night in the week and you realize that that's just a different routine, and then the routine becomes that routine for that particular day. And so, yes, thank you for that inspiration. And again, I'm speaking to this because this is the ideal time, everybody. We are really deep in the midst of this dark light system or place right now. It's a place for curiosity. It impacts our health, as you know, like just tremendously. So pausing and reflecting. Have a listen to the Zoe podcast as well. Zoe podcast, Science and Nutrition. Amazing, because they are focusing on this as well. So I hope that was helpful. I know I went on a little bit longer. Have a fantastic second week of the time change, everybody. I love this, Suzanne. Yes, that's exactly right. Change your mindset, you'll have a better sleep, and you'll have a better next day. Love it. Bringing our hearts, and I'm so happy I can see comments. Bringing our hands together, heart center. Namaste. And make a snowball today. Bye for now.